All rise as we gather here today because Jiyan has been officially Powercreep. I know what you're thinking. It's a sad eulogy. He had a good run from 1.0 to 1.0, but he's no more. He's the drizzling shit. I got the suit jacket today. Let me tell you something. We're about to get some people upset, and that is okay. This is going to be the most tamest hot take ever, and if you think this is a hot take, there's probably a deeper issue here. So, shout out to Mr. Pokemon. I wanted to discuss something that he had in his strongest DPS Wuthering Waves Jinhsi CN analysis. Now, objectively, she's the strongest DPS in the game. Let's watch this clip. It says it's only a minute or so, the state of Powercreep. So let's look at this real quick. And I'm going to break down this graph he has because there's a graph here from the CN community that explains the quote-unquote Powercreep, right? But let's go over this.
Okay, so one small point I want to talk about Jinhsi before we wrap up this video. It's going to be a potential state of quote-unquote Powercreep in Wuthering Waves. So
I also want to make this clear. I don't think this is what Mr. Pokey is saying. Pokey is simply presenting you this form or this information saying, here is what people have calculated. Do you think power creep is a problem? And do you think it exists? So this is not a shot at Pokey. This is not a shot at anyone. But if they want to take it that way, I mean, it is what it is, right? This is me questioning this graph they're about to have. So here.
CM Bro actually managed to do up this graph real quick over here. They have found that Jinhsi with Yingling at E0, S0 has outperformed Jiyan with Mortefi at E0, S1 at every stage of resonance chain. So in E0, S0, Jinhsi does roughly 10% more damage than E0, S1, Jiyan.
Yep. Okay.
And an E0, S1, Jinhsi does 30% more damage than an E1, S1, Jiyan. Now, of course, and you can see the numbers over here, 30%, 32%. At every point, Jinhsi is outperforming Jiyan in a theoretical setup.
Undeniable.
Keep in mind,
right?
There's 2 points I want to mention. Number 1, Jiyan is running a 4-star slot 2, right, which is Mortefi. So if we get another slot 2 that is like a upgraded version of Mortefi with Jiyan, then maybe the differences might not be that big because we are after all using Yingling with
That's a fair point as well. It's a very fair point.
Number 2, this is also in a theoretical setup within 25 seconds. Jiyan's 1 complete cycle with Jinhsi's 1 complete cycle. So in practical situations, you are probably not going to be facing this as much because at the end of the day, it is always up to a player's piloting experience. If you're more comfortable with using Jiyan, right, the Sile, the Cousin Ultima, you group everything together, you just feel more comfortable using Jiyan, then it doesn't matter what Jinhsi's damage is going to be, right? So this is all in a theoretical vacuum assumption.
25 seconds, he said, right?
These 2
25-second window.
In consideration, but this will inevitably bring up the question of is power creep in Wuthering Waves a little bit too much because it has been less than 1 patch and Jinhsi is already outperforming Jiyan by this amount. Leave your comments down below on what do you guys think about this situation, right? So that's it.
Let's break this down. So we'll go over this graph real quick. So I'm going to move my big ass head for a second just so you can see. Let's actually get rid of this and let's go over here, right? So over here, this is Yinlin Jinhsi. Both S0. She does not have her best in slot weapon either, right? So we have to keep that in mind. Obviously, as time goes on, they include the constellations. Jiyan has his best in slot weapon with Mortefi. Now, obviously, again, Mort's a 4-star. She's a 5-star. She's the best sub DPS in the game. And this is in a 25-second window. So if we look here, it says Jinhsi's DPS at S0, R0 37k, Jiyan 36k, S0 R1, and then as you go up, so then with Jinhsi with her weapon, S0 R1, you have 45k, Jiyan still 36 213. S1 is not really a big increase for Jiyan. S2, he goes up to 39k, S3, etc., etc. So obviously it gets more powerful as time goes on. But here's the thing, right? Jiyan and Mortefi, although I truly believe Jinhsi is very easy to play and she's not complicated at all, the rotations with them are just so much easier. What I mean by that is this. If I go into the game, right? We're here. Let me. So with Jinhsi, just off the bat, you have to first get her forte active, right? In order to get her forte active, it takes a pretty decent amount of time. It's not like a 1, 2, 3, like as fast as Mortefi or as fast as Jiyan. Jiyan, you just have to do normal attacks. You need these coordinated attacks. I just did that E without my max forte. I'm missing out on tons of damage, right? So look at this. The big thing about Jinhsi is in her multipliers, which you'll see right here, the forte, it tells you for every stack of incandescence, she is going to be getting, where is this? I can't read today. Additional multiplier per incandescence, 30.49%. Per incandescence. She maxes out to 50, right? So, obviously, Jinhsi, who is a fucking god, right? An actual literal god, is going to have crazy damage. But I mean, you look at these multipliers, like, okay, like, of course, they're going to out DPS Jiyan. That is understandable, and that's okay. Why is this not power creep? Although both Jiyan and Jinhsi are 2 DPSs, they still fill different roles. What do I mean by this? With Jiyan, not only does he have the capabilities of insane CC, but he is a parry god. You just have to spam your normal attack to parry. That's it. You could spam it in your normal state, and then in your ult, it's even better. He's throwing around the dragons, and again, like we said, he's got his CC, and he is just easy mode Unga Bunga. Although Jinhsi is not hard, in order to do her rotation properly, it takes some time, right? So we gotta do 4 normal attacks. We have to, then after that, you do another E. Once at that point, you have to do an additional 4 normal attacks, and then you finally get the last animation. Jiyan is fucking dog shit simple. Get your more Teffy stuff ready, right? Which doesn't take long. My E didn't go off some reason, it's okay, right? Which is much faster. The great thing about Jiyan is you don't have to focus on getting a forte to get all your damage. And when you do need your forte, it's very simple to level up. It's very simple to get. So do that, you do this, swap out, bam, and now I do my damage, and now I'm gonna CC all these homies. And this is just easier, simpler, and it fulfills that other role. If you're bad at parrying, okay, I didn't parry there because I'm whack. But if you're bad at parrying, this is your guy. Although they're both 2 main DPSs, that does not mean they both are going to work in the same situations. With Jinhsi, it's kind of hard to parry with her. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can tell me I have a skill issue, you can say whatever. There is so much visually going on if you spawn the echo, if you do your burst. There is just visually a lot happening, especially when she's doing her mid-air stuff, that it's not the easiest task in the world. And she's not as good as fighting in groups. So obviously I'm gonna melt these homies, right? 2, 3, 4. But she doesn't have those CC capabilities that homie does. Bam, and then 1, then, you know, bam. If that's Jiyan right there, they're all done already. Because I grouped them instantaneously. I grouped them and I knocked them out. And again, I nerf myself because I don't have max incandescence here. So what does her damage look like when you don't have max incandescence? Is that I assume that rotation is including 25 seconds getting max incandescence. You are not the average player. I am not having max incandescence every time I use her. You could say that's a skill issue. But the end of the day is there is a level of entry barrier where it is a bit more complex and it's not the most crazy kit in the world, but it's more time focused, it's more thinking, and you have to be more strategic with the coordinated attacks and so on and so forth. That is not the case with Jiyan, bro. Unga Bunga, you're done, and he melts everything. His damage is still sufficient. It's not like that he is no longer meta and he's out of the S tier category. They're both S tier. They're both S tier. She might do substantially more damage than him, but that does not mean that she power creeped him. By any stretch of the imagination. Again, this is not a shot at Pokey. But when you look at a chart like this, I feel like it's very I don't want to say misleading, but it is a little bit in the sense, because now Pokey gave the disclaimer, hey, this is within 25 seconds. These are perfect rotations, and keep in mind that we have a 4-star here because we don't have a better support for Jiyan yet, right? But you look at this, you think, oh, wow, hold on a second. I should probably stop building my Jiyan like a newer player, and I should go hype up and build my Jinhsi, and you should, right? Because she's amazing. But what if you don't have Yinlin? This is requiring another 5-star. That is gone. This character is gone. So now this chart has already become outdated due to the fact that not every person got Yinlin. So now how is it looking like with Yanwu? Maybe she's still stronger with Yanwu. I don't know, right? Or maybe she's still stronger with Taochi, or maybe she's still stronger with Baiji. But don't look at this graph or look at these statements and think that's it. Jiyan's done. He's done. It's far from the truth. Jiyan is not done, and Jiyan is still very valuable and still a very good unit. Obviously, Jiyan is gone as well, right? But a lot of people got Jiyan and Mort together. So I just like to put a disclaimer. I don't think Powercreep is happening yet. Again, 2 different roles, 2 different styles. One's much easier to parry with, much easier to set up their kits. Their setups are smooth like butter. This one could be clunky, man. And again, it's requiring a limited 5-star that is no longer on the banner. So don't put too much into this, please. Don't let people that are going to really these meta people say, well, this is it. This is what you should. I'm a meta whore, and I'm telling you, this is the best case scenario. And 9 times out of 10, you are not getting the best case scenario. It's just the truth, right? In Tower Adversity, you are not having her Forte circuit up every single rotation. You're not. I doubt it. I genuinely doubt it. So when you have the meta players and the meta players are like, this is the greatest. Yeah, hypothetically. Hypothetically doesn't mean shit, though, in practice. So keep that in mind. Just don't let this discourage you. That is why I'm making this video. Powercreep is going to come eventually. I don't think it comes now, though. I don't think Jiyan is going to turn into the D-Luke of the game in the next 5 months or maybe even year. And I also think that they're very in touch with their player base. And I know that to my knowledge, I believe they Powercreep pretty hard in PGR. But I just don't see them going that route for Wuthering Waves, even at the beginning. So, yeah, this is cool. But this doesn't really hold much weight at the end of the day for 95% of the player base. And even for the 5% that are super hardcore and try to follow this, unless you're really practicing and getting your Forte up 24/7 and really locking it in, becoming a fucking madman, it's not applicable. You don't have Yinlin. You got to use Yanwu. You got to use someone else. So that's what I want to say, man. It's going to come. Powercreep is going to come. It's not here, though. It's not here yet. Use Jiyan. Build your Jiyan. He's good. Obviously, in the Spectro side of the Tower Adversity, Jinhsi is going to be better. But that's not Powercreep. That's because Jinhsi's on the banner right now, so they're going to make that side of Tower Adversity cater towards Jinhsi. It's nothing crazy. That's just how games work. That's how gacha games work. There's a character with an element out. We're going to give this element a buff in the endgame activity so you can incentivize a pull for that character. So it's like the same thing when people were going off at the beginning saying Encore, she's really complicated. She's not that good. She's a little weird. And it's like, bro, calm down. Or, Yinlin's not going to be a big buff to Calchero. Yinlin's a massive fucking buff to Calchero. I don't know where that came from. I've used a cracked Yinlin Calchero build and has probably melted anything fast than I've ever used, including a cracked Jinhsi. The game has so many variables to it, and since there's so many variables, and there's still a lot that we don't know about the game yet. I mean, for example, word on the street is that they just nerf lingering tunes, right? So things are changing. We don't know everything. We don't understand and grasp the whole concept of all of the combat yet. Play the game how you want to fucking play it. And don't focus too much on the meta. You can pay attention to the meta and be like, okay, objectively, this is probably the best team. You throw Varina there, throw Baiji, but don't make some ground-breaking changes because of something like this. That's the message I'm trying to get across. Let me know what you think. Mwah. I love you. I'll see you in the next one.